Hi, today we're working on Module 4, Lesson 13, writing division expressions. We wrote addition, we've written subtraction, we've written multiplication. Division was feeling left out, so today we're going to look at division expressions. Let's start by reviewing some division vocabulary. So I suggest taking out a sheet of loose leaf paper and leave some room below and copy down your division vocabulary. We have the dividend divided by the divisor equals the quotient. And remember, the dividend is on the end. And the same thing if it's written in this format. The divisor, I like to think, is outside the house. And when you're outside, you have to wear a visor. And it looks like he's got a visor sticking off his head. And the dividend is on the end. So in both cases, the dividend is on the end, whether it's the beginning end or the end end. So now that we've reviewed the vocabulary, let's just review the concept of division. You're still not working in your notes yet. We're just going to think about it and discuss it together, okay? So how can we write or show 8 divided by 2? What are some different ways that we know that we can write that? Yeah, you know, it's kind of hard to verbalize. 8 with the division sign and then the 2. What else do we do? We could do in the house, like we looked at, or we could do, yeah, we've discussed that, how it could be written as a fraction, 8 over 2. We've also looked at bar diagrams, other ways to draw it. Oh, that's what they do with that. They just because they can't get it to format like that, they use a diagonal line, but that means a fraction bar. That's the same thing. And back when we did our fractions unit, we looked at how we could use division with tape diagrams and bar diagrams and models and so on. But now that we're older and like cool middle school kids, you know, we don't have to draw the pictures right now. But so that's 8 divided by 2. What about that? Does that mean the same thing? No. That means 2 divided by 8. And if we drew a picture, that's 2 eighths. Where that would be the 8 group, the 8 into 2, so we'd have more. That's greater than a whole, okay? I didn't finish drawing that picture, but you remember from when we did that lesson, okay? So now if we're working with algebraic expressions like we have it, which of those models do you think would be easier to use? Which would be the easiest, do you think? Hi. How are you?
How are you?
Thank you.
Yeah. Sick again?
No.
Too much yelling in their voices?
Yeah.
Yell at these kids. Especially after.
So what would be the easiest one, do you think, when we're writing expressions? What do you think would be the easiest one to use?
Why not use the first one?
Why don't you use the first one? That could get kind of confusing, though, with all of the other operations, symbols and letters.
The second one.
You think that one would be easier if we had A's and B's? I'm going to tell you right now, using it as the fraction would be the easiest form, and that's what we're going to work with today. Okay, so let's take a look at your notes. If we wanted to write an expression showing 1 divided by 2 without the division symbol, how could we do that? Let's start first by drawing a model and see what 1 divided by 2 means. What is it that I have that I'm separating? What is the full amount? 2. I have 2 and I'm going to break it into ones. What am I going to do with that?
1 hit and 2 at bats.
So what do I have?
What are you batting? What you batting at? 1 hit on 2 at bats.
Well, 1 is what I have that I'm going to separate. So we're going to draw a model to show 1. Okay, that's my quantity. Is that my divisor or my dividend? Think about the notes that we just took. Is 1 my divisor or my dividend? Everybody? Dividend. The dividend is what you have. That's what we're starting with, and that's what we're going to figure out what we have to do with it. So this time we're going to take our whole 1 and divide it by 2. What do we see in the picture? Just settle down.
Basket.
We just want to see what it means, and then we're going to move on past that.
Oh.
Okay? We're going to figure out another way to write that based on our picture. That's okay. A little faith. So what do we have here? What is that? How would I represent that? 1/2. So 1 divided by 2 is 1/2. And what did we just say? Another way that we could write 1 divided by 2 was? 1 over 2. That means 1 divided by 2. And based on our model, we could see that 1 divided by 2 is 1/2. So this is proving that 1 divided by 2 can be written as 1/2. They have the same value. Let's try again. If we had A divided by 2, what is it that I have that I am now going to break apart? What do I have? A. What is A? A is what's the vocabulary word for A? It is a variable. In the division sentence, though, what vocabulary word? Dividend. So let me draw A. That's the full amount that I have. I have A. What am I going to do to A? Divided by 2. So how could I represent that? What did I do? Instead of here, I had 1 divided by 2. Now I have A divided by 2. So how can I write that? I don't know what A is. I don't know what I separated. Right. So A over 2. So that's A divided by 2. Okay? So A divided by 2. Does everybody see where that came from? I had A as my total, and I divided it by 2. So this shows the A divided by 2. So let's write a division expression using the division symbol that we represent. So using vocabulary words, and this is what we already took notes on. We have the dividend divided by the divisor. Okay, write this in your notes. But now how would I write that as a fraction? We tried it with the 1 divided by 2. We tried it with the A divided by 2. So now let's try to write it with the dividend divided by the divisor. How would I write that? How could I write that without the division symbol?
Dividend over divisor.
Awesome. Absolutely. Dividend would be our numerator, and our divisor is our denominator. Okay? And now we can add that to the notes that we took earlier in class. So on your sheet of loose leaf paper, you can add to your picture the dividend over the divisor, and now we can see from the models that we drew that division is another way, fractions are another way to represent division. Okay? I'll give you a second to copy that down, and then we'll try some more. Okay, so let's continue practicing writing division equations. So in example 3A, write an expression showing A divided by B without the use of the division symbol. So how are we going to write that? Yeah, that's it. A divided by B. That's it. Now we want to write an expression for G divided by the quantity H plus 3. First, before I try to turn it into a fraction, let's just write it using a good old-fashioned division symbol, okay? So I have G divided by the quantity H plus 3. Quantity is just fancy for sum. The sum of H plus 3, the total of H plus 3. So G divided by the sum of H plus 3. How come I need the parentheses? Do I have to have the parentheses? Why did I put them there, Naomi? Right, I would have to divide first because of the rules of order of operation, and that would have been G divided by H. But we don't want to divide G by H. We want to divide G by that sum. So I have to find out what that is first before I can divide it. Now that I wrote it with the symbols, how can I write it as a fraction? Because we were able to prove with the models that writing it with the division symbol is equivalent to writing it with a fraction. How would I write that? If I did A divided by B is A over B, how would I do G divided by H plus 3? G over H plus 3. That's it. We don't know the values of any of those variables, so we can't solve it. So we just leave it like that. Okay. All right, what about writing an expression for the quotient of the quantity m reduced by 3? So I need the quantity of m reduced by 3, and then the quotient, I should have highlighted that too, the quotient of that and 5. So, first let's write that with a division symbol. So I need the quantity of m reduced by 3. So after I have the quantity of m reduced by 3, I have to divide it by 5. How would I write that with the fraction bar now? How would I write it?
3 minus 3, and then m minus 3, and then 5 on the bottom.
Yep. M minus 3 over 5. Or m minus 3 divided by 5.
Yeah.
Okay, pretty straightforward.
Wouldn't the parentheses mean multiply?
If I had something outside here, then I would multiply by what's inside. Okay, or if I had 2 parentheses 3, then I would multiply that to get 6. Okay.
Why would you use parentheses on any fraction?
Because it's isolated now. Because I know my numerator is 1 unit, so it's not necessary to write them. Okay? All right. Take out your dry erase boards. I'm going to pause the recording, and then at the end start recording again so you can check all your answers. Okay, so we just completed the exercises 1 through 8 on the dry erase boards. So now you can copy your answers into your notes. Okay, so here's the notes for those of you who tried it at home. You can check your answers.